Hello everyone, this is the Final Bosman, and please don't look at my eye. Welcome to the show. I am Kyle Bosman, and as you can see, having kind of a Bob Costas thing going on this week, and as such, I thought I would adapt to that, create an episode where you don't have to look at me. So today we're talking about buttons. Let's start here. Look at these 4 buttons here. If I were to ask you to quickly, without thinking, say which one is the X button, it could be any of these. Well, not this one, but it could be this one right here if you're familiar with Nintendo consoles, or like Sony says the X button goes right here, and the Xbox says the X button is right there. And that is very crazy that the world of video games is willing to accept so many different X buttons. And I kind of want to talk about that today. And I think that all starts right here with the NES controller. This is the first time that any button was ever assigned a letter to it. I guess I should call it the Famicom, but for the most part, I'm going to be using the US titles of the consoles. Anyway, A over there, B over there. That makes no sense. I guess the logic here is that your thumb most naturally rests on the A button. However, games, they're going to require you to put your thumb on both of these buttons at the same time. Super Mario Bros. Demands it. And so, it's weird, if you put your thumb on both B and A, the controller becomes slightly asymmetrical. Like, it's not designed for that, but it's what makes the most sense. Obviously, the NES, major success. We all get used to pressing A, going right to accept, and going left to not accept, to deny, A and B. Meanwhile, we got the Sega Master System over here, which is 1 and 2. That totally makes sense. In Japan, this thing is called the Sega Mark III, and those buttons aren't labeled. And again, that's normal. That's okay. Like Nintendo, again, first company ever to say this is the A button and this is the B button. Otherwise, most other controllers didn't label their buttons. So that totally made sense. However, when the Sega Genesis comes around, or the Mega Drive, everywhere outside of North America, that has A, B, and C. Everywhere. Every country, you got A, B, and C on that controller. And they make sense where A, B, and C are. It goes from left to right. That logically makes sense. On the other side, we got Nintendo with a Super Nintendo, with a Super Famicom, if you will. And we're adding 4 buttons. L and R, which are godsends. We needed these our entire lives. And also X and Y. And of course, X and Y are also in the wrong order because it'd make the A and B look stupid. So we got those buttons now. And the Genesis over here has to react to that. So in 1993, we get this Genesis controller that's got A, B, and C, and above that, X, Y, and Z. That makes perfect sense. And now fighting games are possible on the Genesis. So there we go. Nintendo and Sega making video game consoles, but then uh-oh, it's 1995. Sony releases this abomination. What the heck is this? A bunch of shapes? What are you thinking? The thinking is pretty clear, actually, with this, it turns out. With X on the bottom and circle on the right. In Japan, circle, that's a symbol for yeah, you got it, good. Yup, okay. X is a symbol for no, you got it wrong, no thank you, pass. And so, for that to be on the right, for the circle to be on the right, and for the X to be on the bottom, actually correlates well to where the A and B are on the Super Nintendo. And weird history, the PlayStation started its life off as the Nintendo PlayStation, so it makes perfect sense for X and circle to be where they are. And I'm sorry everybody, I know that it's called the cross button and not the X button. I'm just so used to calling that the X button. X is this, cross is this. It's got 4 right angles, it's not an X at all. But I'm gonna call it that anyway until the day I die. Meanwhile, look at this stupid Nintendo 64 controller. I've never liked this thing. This controller gave us an analog stick, gave us a trigger button. It learned how to rumble before anyone else did. So yeah, we have a lot to be grateful for, but this thing's a monstrosity. Look at A here, B here, and C, this is C. My friend at the time said C stands for camera. I'm not sure I ever believed that, but maybe it does. Still, regardless, this controller absolutely makes no sense. However, I mean, we get where A is. A is like our natural resting thumb button. Dreamcast in '99 were lobbing off those 2 Saturn buttons just to make A, B, X, Y in their natural position. They're the same letters as the Super Nintendo, same colors, just entirely different configurations. But it's all okay, everything makes sense. Now, a crazy thing started happening, meanwhile, with the PlayStation controller. For some reason, outside of Japan, the X button began to mean okay. It meant good, yes, absolutely. Move on, move forward. I like this. And that is not how it was designed. However, Western game developers, and then even like localizing Eastern games, everyone started making X accept. I don't know what that is. I mean, obviously we don't have that connotation of circle meaning good, X meaning don't. X is great. We love X. Look how cool this letter looks. It means like check. It means absolutely. It means target. And so naturally, I guess we wanted, because our thumb rests on X, we wanted that one to be the one we hit the most? Who knows? Anyway, that began to become accepted. So despite the fact that the Super Nintendo was the most popular A button, the most popular thing for accept, we all sort of migrated down to the lower button, meaning accept. I don't think Dreamcast had a huge impact. However, what did is Xbox. Here comes this in 2001. Look at you, you weird controller. Look at your buttons. Here we got A on the bottom, B on the right. A is green. That means go. Anywhere you are, anywhere you live, green means yes, go, red means stop. And so that kind of makes sense for those to be there where they are. Who cares about blue and yellow? Put them wherever you want. That's what that was. When we got salt and pepper up here. I always like these salt and pepper buttons. I remember the pepper one, the white one, that turns the flashlight on and off in Halo. I just thought that was the coolest thing for some reason. Strangely enough, those are just moved down on the S controller, which later became the default controller for the Xbox. And then on the Xbox 360, those salt and pepper buttons migrate and become bumper buttons, which are great. And then this controller right here, not only because it's very well built, but because it has a simple USB in, becomes the first ever de facto controller for the PC, which is a very big deal. Finally, the PC has a controller that everybody's using. And so yes, on the bottom is green, on the bottom is A, on the bottom is go, yes, and on the right is no thank you, pass. The Steam controller, now that it has learned to finally embrace buttons, just cribs that design completely. Just copies it. Copy, paste, we got it. Same colors, same letters, same positions. Which to me is very funny because if you remember when this controller was first revealed, those ABXY buttons were all the way over here. You know, they tried to do something different. They tried to change the game. However, eventually it evolved into the situation where the buttons are the same colors, the same letters, the same exact positions as the Xbox 360 controller. There was just no avoiding it, which to me actually makes perfect sense because when you connect the dots here, people. Oh, just a second.
Don't answer that.
Why? It could be anybody.
Give me the phone.
No.
Give me the phone.
No.
Give me the phone.
Skip by GameCube controllers. These are freaky. Put the A button here. I love this. There is no confusion about where to go, right? That means go, that means jump, then that's the bad button. That one means back. Perfect. The Wii, put the A button right here. Cannot be any clearer which button I need to press at the start of the game. Love it. And then, of course, the Wii U, take us back to here. The DS family's been here the whole time. X right there. Sticking true to that. I guess they have to at this point, especially because Nintendo cares so much about its legacy, its 30-year legacy of video games and making those all backwards compatible, future compatible with all future consoles. It doesn't look like that's ever going to change. In conclusion, I theorize that the NX will have no X button. The NX will have, yes, an A button right here. The B button will probably be right here. And the NX button will be right there. The NX button can only be pressed once, upon which the controller will disassemble into pieces so tiny that reassembly will be impossible. It just crumbles into dust. This then requires users to press the NX button wisely. Now obviously, more wealthy NX users can be more frivolous with their use of the NX button, and some lower class NX owners may choose to never press the NX button. Regardless, this will skyrocket Nintendo stock and bring them into a new era of the NX button. Nintendo, ergo, will be saved. Anyway, that's it for buttons. I want to talk about analog sticks. I want to talk about shoulder buttons. This turned into a regular long episode, and so I guess we're not going to do any of those. Those will be episodes for another time where my eye looks weird. Anyway, I'll be back here next Wednesday. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.
I heard you talking about me.
What?
You said my name like 1,000 times.
I was talking about controller buttons, not Buttons the cat, obviously.
Oh, well, I'm up. Has anything cool happened since E3?
Star Wars?
Pass. I'm going back into hibernation.
All right, buddy. We'll see you in July.
Hey,
What?
I need you to tuck me in.